find peace in not knowing the unknown. What does that mean? That could be a very confusing thing to understand, but I'll just break it down a little bit for you. The unknown is anything in the future, right? Anything you don't know is definite, or don't know is going to happen or not happen, or whatever it is. Being comfortable in the unknown is just living in the present day, to be honest. I like to use the example of driving. If I were to pull out of my driveway right now, and I were to go on a drive and try to get to a destination, what am I thinking about? I'm obviously paying attention to the road, and I'm obviously thinking about, just whatever's happening in my life and just casually going on with my day, right? One thing I'm not thinking about is, am I going to get into a car accident? If I were to think about, am I going to get into a car accident every single time I would drive, number one, probably wouldn't be driving, because I would probably be always stressed out, always anxious, And thirdly, I would probably end up in a car crash, because if I was constantly worried about that, I would give off the energy, the negative energy, and I would probably freak out and end up in a car accident, right? So being comfortable in the unknown, or just having peace within the unknown, is just not worrying about things you don't know are going to happen, right? Let's use, relationships for an example. If you're in a talking stage, or you're in a relationship, right? And you're constantly worried about, well, is this going to work out? Is she going to cheat, or is she going to talk to other guys, or whatever it is that is, if she going to do this, right? You do not know. You do not know. So stop worrying about it. Because at the end of the day, if they were to go do that, you probably did something or gave off an energy that pushed them away. What do I mean by that? If you're constantly thinking, well, they're going to go cheat, or they're going to go talk to other guys, or they're going to just end things with me and we're not going to be anything, you're going to give off that negative energy. And people could feel energy, and that's just going to push them away and push them farther out of your life, causing you to just have to get over someone or deal with that mental health, after a breakup or whatever it is. And that's something that probably causes a lot of relationships and a lot of things to just fail, right? And you kind of just have to understand that living in the future just causes your future to not turn out the way you want it to turn out. If I were to live every day saying, well, I want my future to be like this and this and this, exactly how I want it, it wouldn't turn out like that. But if I were to live in the present day, and I were to work on myself or whatever it is, if I were to work to get to those points in my future, I would get to those points in the future, because I'm controlling what I can control. If you're worried and trying to control the future, you can't. You cannot control the future. It's out of your control. So understanding that is a huge thing. And also, I like to talk about just common mental health issues, and a lot of it is caused by the unknown. We can think about home life or relationships, or just, whatever it is that's making you go through your mental health drought, or just whatever you're going through in life. For me, one big thing was I had a very traumatic injury, and I constantly thought every day, like, what is my future going to look like? Am I going to be able to play sports again? Am I going to be able to do this, that? And after a while, and after that, depressive state and everything I went through, I kind of did a lot of deep diving into psychology and learning about mental health. And something that really opened my mind and opened my eyes to the entire world was finding peace in the unknown. The more I worried about that stuff was causing me to be more depressed. Once I understood that it's out of my control, all I can do right now is work on my injury and work on getting back to the level I was at. instead of worrying about what the futures entail for me. Because if I continue to just work every single day to that goal, I will complete that goal, rather than worrying about what's going to happen in the future and giving off a negative energy that's going to cause negative things to happen in my life. Something I also really want to talk about that I think can help a lot of people is, understanding that choosing yourself and working on yourself in the present day is better than worrying about other people around you. Whether you're depressed because a close friend might be in the hospital, might be sick or dying, family member, whoever it is, or home life, or whatever the reason is, you can't really control what happens in those things. All you can really control is, what can I do now to make my future how I want it to be? Let's use sports as an example. Your goal is to obviously win the state championship, Super Bowl, whatever it is, national championship, whatever level, whatever it is, that is your goal, obviously, right? But if you were to worry about the teams you have to play along the way and think about, well, what's going to happen 8 weeks from now? We're going to lose. We're not good enough, right? That's just going to draw you farther from beating that team. But if you were to every single day work on getting better without worrying about the team, just saying, are we getting a little bit better today? Are we getting a little bit better today? And pushing towards that goal, you will succeed in that goal. And maybe you won't. And maybe that was what's meant to happen. But that's the unknown. And you have to find peace within that. I really like to use Fortnite as an example of having peace with the unknown. It might sound, funny, but when you play Fortnite, right, and you drop Tilted or you drop Retail Row or wherever you're going, when you drop out of that battle bus, you're not thinking about that final 1v1, are you? No. And you're thinking about, okay, well, I got to survive Retail, or I got to loot up and, just survive a little bit. And that is kind of how you should live your life. You shouldn't think about the future and think about what's bound to happen or what's yet to happen. You kind of have to just think about, what am I doing right now? And I know I've stressed that this entire video, but I really want to stress that and get that into your head, because you need to understand that time, in a sense, is not really real. You can't live in the past, you can't live in the future. You can only live right now, this second. Every second you get a little bit older, right? Control what you can control. Stop worrying about what's bound to happen later in life, because those things will happen. Certain things are going to happen to you, and it's out of your control. But all you could focus on is fixing what's ever happening in your life right now, or getting better right now. Right? And I really don't know why any of you guys are struggling. I don't know the reason. And I don't know why, what you need help with necessarily. But one thing I do know is 99% of mental health issues happen in the mind, right? And a lot of those issues come from worrying about things out of our control and worrying about things that are the unknown, right? So the more we think about not having the answer, the more we kind of draw ourselves further from having the answer. Life isn't like a riddle. Life is a game that you're trying to win. The difference between those two things are, a riddle is you're constantly trying to figure out the answer. You just want the answer. And once you get the answer, it's done, right? Trying to win a game, like a game that you're trying to win, is every second you're just trying to, come close to the end goal of winning. But the thing is, with life, you can't find the final answer. There's no such thing as the final answer. I mean, in a sense, yes, Jesus Christ is the final answer. But I mean, in the game of life, from the day you're born to the day you die, the answers that you want to get in your life, you're only going to get them by living in the present day. If I were to think, where am I going to be 30 years from now? And I constantly think that every day, I will not get my answer for 30 years. But if I were to live every single day trying to set goals, trying to complete the goals I want for life and work on bettering myself. In 30 years, when I look, wow, 30 years ago, I wondered where I was going to be, and this is where I am now. 30 years ago, I set out a goal to be like this, and I completed that 20 years ago. But when I completed that 20 years ago, I set more goals, and that's where I am now. That's something that we all have to understand, because the unknown is such a broad thing in life. It's really anything. It could be anything. And for the people who are struggling with home life, maybe alcoholic parents, drug addict parents, maybe you're not in the best living conditions or anything like that, that is completely out of your control. And that's something you have to understand. It's out of your control. But what can you do for yourself to better yourself or create a better life for yourself in the long run? Right? That's what you have to focus on. For anybody that's struggling and for anybody that's going through anything, come back to the present day. Forget about what's bound to happen and forget about what already happened. Focus on what you can control, what you can do now, and what you can do to make your life better and make yourself better. So finding peace in the unknown is really simple in a sense. All you have to do is live in the present day. Don't try to climb the staircase with one big step. Try to climb the staircase with crawling up the stairs. Because when you crawl up the stairs, yeah, it might take longer. You know, maybe it might be a little weird. Maybe it might be a little awkward, uncomfortable. Maybe a little harder. You know, not even harder, but you know, might find some difficulty in that, right? But you know you'll eventually get to the top. When you try taking that one big leap to get to the top, you're skipping over steps that are crucial to get to the top, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So stop trying to rush things in life and stop trying to always get the answer like this. You just want the answer. You're never going to get the answer. I promise you that. You will eventually, but you don't know when that day will come, right? So I just want to recap on everything and just understand what's the real moral of this video. What's the message I'm trying to send is the unknown is invisible. The unknown is something out of our reach. The unknown is something we'll never know. Stop trying to get constant answers and stop trying to understand what the unknown is. Right? Live in the present day, and that's going to build you up and give you all the answers you need. And that's going to satisfy you in life. Find peace in not knowing the unknown.